all of my favorite Star Wars brothers and sisters. This is the great I Make a Sideshow coming at you live from everyone's favorite planet, the planet Earth. Now let's dispense with the pleasantries and get the show on the road. Oh, Obi-Wan, how we love you so. You stole people's imaginations when you were portrayed by the late and great Sir Alec Guinness. And then you stole the hearts of fangirls everywhere when you and McGregor took on your role for the prequels. One of the only good things about the prequels, to be honest. If there is any example of a Jedi, none are more fitting than the example of Obi-Wan. Despite facing so many adversities, the Jedi has stayed loyal to the teachings of the Jedi up to the point of his death in A New Hope. That isn't to say that there wasn't moments where he at least danced with the dark side. One of the most notable examples of this was in his iconic duel with Darth Maul, and in which he severed the Death Marian straight in half, who somehow survives and which was totally not ripped off from an iconic what-if comic from Dark Horse. Now, a question that is often brought up within the Star Wars fan community is, what if Obi-Wan turned to the dark side? What consequences on the galaxy would it have as we knew it? Now, this is something that's often brought up a lot on YouTube, and so it's probably become a little cliched at this point, but I thought I'd put my own spin on it. Now, the ultimate question is, when would Obi-Wan turn to the dark side? Most would agree he was too loyal on the Jedi Code, so he probably wouldn't turn to the dark side, but if we're going by a what-if scenario, there's a couple of good ideas. The first is when he duels Darth Maul and strikes him down. This is for a couple of reasons. One, his master dies, and so he is often at a low point. Second, we kind of did see him go to the dark side, at least for a little bit. He used violence and aggression against the Sith Lord, and it didn't look like he was really thinking of attacking only on defense and never aggressiveness. The second scenario is whenever Darth Maul kills Satine. You see him for a little bit kind of grimace before he rejects the dark side. But if you want to go by the idea that any decision made could easily turn around, then we could say that there's easily an alternate universe out there where Obi-Wan finally gives him the dark side. My viewpoint is that his lowest point was actually in his duel with Darth Vader on Mustafar. Everything that Obi-Wan held near and dear to his heart, gone. The Jedi Order, gone. The Republic, gone. The man he once considered his brother in arms, gone. If there was ever a point for Obi-Wan to turn his back on the Jedi Code, this would be it. They were dead at this point. Everything that they had fought for was gone. So, in his mind, it wouldn't be hard to imagine that he thinks that maybe the Jedi had lost because of their code. Maybe it was time to start a new order of sorts. And this would be a time that the dark side would be very tempting. We often hear the phrase, fight fire with fire. So, if you're willing to join me on this trip to the multiverse, Rick and Morty style, I'd like to explore this what-if scenario. Hope you guys enjoy it. Our scenario begins right before Obi-Wan takes Luke to Tatooine and goes into hiding. As the old general holds the young boy in his arms, the man finds himself at the lowest point in his life. Everything he fought for had crumbled around him. The Jedi were dead. The man he once knew as brother was no more, given into hatred and turned into Darth Vader. Everything that Obi-Wan once held near and dear to his heart was now nothing but a former shadow of itself. Anger starts to boil inside him. Anger towards Anakin and himself. Why could he not foresee what was happening? Why couldn't he stop Vader? All those times, Palpatine was right there in front of him, and he couldn't see it. A battle begins to rage within Obi-Wan's soul as memories of all those he feels he has failed flash into his mind. There's nothing you could have done, he assures himself. Not even Master Yoda could sense it. Like heck they couldn't, a darker, more angry voice echoes. We all allowed ourselves to be played. Look what happened to the Republic. The Jedi looks over at the young infant and begins to sigh. And what of this young one? He can't be hidden forever. He needs to be trained. What? As a Jedi? A lot of good that did you. There is another path. The dark voice echoes inside Obi-Wan, but he quickly shrugs it off. No, only cowards choose the dark side. Yet, where are the Jedi now? The voice asks. Obi-Wan begins to look at the infant, beginning to worry about what could happen. What if Vader were to find the boy? What if he were taken and trained to be Darth Sidious' apprentice? Or worse. But to betray the Jedi Code? To betray all that he stood for? And yet, the Jedi are dead, Obi-Wan. Things are changing. And sometimes, the line between good and evil is blurred. Now more than ever. Sometimes, one must fight fire with fire. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Obi-Wan grits his teeth, almost in an animal snarl. He turns the ship around, knowing in his heart what he needs to do. He punches the coordinates before going into hyperspace. The planet in question? Concord Dawn. The planet is covered in thick jungle, mosquitoes swarming every direction. As Obi-Wan begins to swat at the insects, memories of missions with Anakin begin to flood his mind. A smile comes over his face, but it quickly turns into a grimace. No, there's too much anger in Obi-Wan's heart now. No memories of old could save that. Anakin had gone too far this time. The man Obi-Wan once knew as brother was dead to him now. It takes a long time to find it, and truth be told, it can only be found in whispers. But after a while, Obi-Wan finally stumbles among the base of the Night Owls. Mandalore quickly became overrun by the Republic, and now the Empire. It appears as though this was the best shop the Mandalorians could find, at least for now. He approaches the two guards dressed in Mandalorian armor. Startled, they quickly draw their blasters. Halt! One of them shouts. Obi-Wan frantically introduces himself. The guards recognize the name immediately as Bo-Katan comes out from the base and gives him a nod and a grin. The two explain their stories, and it becomes clear that both of them have a common enemy in the Empire and Vader. Obi-Wan then shows her the young infant before asking her for the ultimate favor. I am going to take a pilgrimage to the Sith world of Morabon. I need to know more about the Force. I don't know how long I will be. I know it will take time, 5, 10 years easily. In the meantime, I need you to take the child in. Make him one of yours. Teach him your ways. He may be the only hope the galaxy has to destroy the Empire. He needs to know the ways of a warrior. When I have mastered the Force, I shall return. Bo nods, knowing what Obi-Wan asked of her. I owe you a debt. I shall raise him as my son. When you return, he shall be a Mandalorian. Obi-Wan gives a fake smile before bowing and walking away. As he returns to his ship, a feeling of shame comes over him. He just turned his back on the Jedi Order. Had he just made a great mistake? Obi-Wan shakes the thoughts away. The Jedi were gone, and it was time for a new order to rise. So, this concludes part 1 of What If Obi-Wan Turned to the Dark Side. If you wish to see a part 2, click the like button and subscribe. A little bit of a disclaimer, this is my first video and I'm working with cheap, bare minimum equipment, so if quality isn't up to snuff, I deeply apologize. Constructive criticism is appreciated. Thank you. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.